I guess this is part two. But I remember like back in 2013, 2014, there were people out there that they just wanted to see Deontay Wilder challenge himself. That's all they wanted to see. They wanted to see him fight a better opponent. And I remember back then, people wanted him to fight Derrick Zezoro. I remember when Frank Warren did that little press conference where he was saying that Deontay Wilder was gonna fight Derrick Chisora, Del Boy. I remember a bunch of people, including myself, got hyped about that. They were like, "Oh shit! Finally, Deontay Wilder's gonna test himself." That was originally the first criticism that I had for Deontay Wilder was he wasn't fighting the best opposition. I didn't like that because, like I said in boxing, you I didn't know what level Deontay Wilder was at. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what level a fighter is at until he tests himself, right? He could be knocking everybody out, but if he's knocking out bums, that does nothing for me as a boxing fan. You have to be knocking out or fighting or at least beating guys that are decent level fighters for me to know what level you're at. And that was my frustration with Deontay Wilder was I didn't know what level he was at. And I was embarrassed because every time he would fight, there was always people I would read the comments on YouTube and they were always crucified Deontay Wilder. And they would say stuff like, "Man, this dude is fighting bums." They were just making fun of him. And as an American boxing fan, that was embarrassing for me. So I just wanted Deontay Wilder to fight a legit fighter so that I could give him credit. You know what I'm saying? And then he finally did with Bermane Stiverne. That was a great fight. When he beat Bermane Stiverne, I was actually happy for him because I was like, finally, at least he fought someone who has some type of name. Even though Bermane Stiverne is not a great fighter, Bermane Stiverne, in my opinion, is overrated as a heavyweight. I consider him like a top maybe 30, 25 heavyweight at best. But some people would have considered him a top 10 heavyweight back then. But the point is, I was happy when he fought Bermane Stiverne because I was like, finally, at least he fought somebody who we could give him credit for. But then he downgraded. He started fighting guys like Eric Molina, guys that nobody heard of, guys that nobody wanted to see him fight. He didn't fight Vladimir Klitschko, and that was a big. It would have been great if Deontay Wilder would have fought Vladimir Klitschko back in 2015. Even if he would have lost, people would have way more respect for him back in 2015 had he fought Vladimir Klitschko. I personally think he would have lost, but it would have been at least we would have been like, okay, he fought him, so you can't say he ducked him. And then through the years, when the years passed, I started losing. I really started losing respect for Deontay Wilder when Anthony Joshua leapfrogged him. All right, that's when I really got pissed off because I remember watching Anthony Joshua was literally a prospect, and then he wins the IBF belt, and then he ends up unifying and having every single belt except for the WBC belt. And he did this and just leapfrogged Deontay Wilder. And that just really pissed me off so much because it's like, how do you let a guy who was who literally had like two fights when you won the WBC belt? Because when he won the WBC belt, Joshua had like maybe 2, 3 fights. He had literally just turned pro maybe like a year and a half ago. He was literally a baby when it comes to his professional record. Yet Joshua managed to leapfrog Deontay Wilder, and that to me as an American boxing fan was very embarrassing. Okay, and then Deontay Wilder started to change his tune. He started to become like basically like the villain. He started to talk a whole bunch of shit, and then he was rejecting offers and not taking these big fights. And that's just that just made me even more embarrassed as an American boxing fan, and it also it made people lose even more respect for Deontay Wilder because people are already shitting on your resume and they look at you as a fraud because you're not challenging yourself. On top of that, you have a dude like Anthony Joshua leapfrog you and accomplish more than you accomplished, and he's literally just turned pro. And on top of that, now you're talking all this shit, but you're not backing it up when you're getting these offers. You're rejecting them. So of course people are gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, this guy is ducking Anthony Joshua." And to this day, you you haven't fought Anthony Joshua to this day. You know, if you want respect, you have to fight all the fighters that the people want you to see, the boxing fans. Period.